Coretta Scott King called me up, God rest her soul, and asked me to give the Martin Luther King address on Martin Luther King Day in Ebenezer Baptist Church, Reverend King's church. And this was a tremendous, tremendous honor, and she called me a few months before. So I had time to prepare, and I was nervous, and I was studying and talking to everybody who I could talk to about it, and I was working on that speech, and I learned so much about Dr. King during that time, and so many lessons that have served me a lifetime, and that I bring to my work today. And Dr. King's legacy to me comes down to three important messages. First is his sense of justice, which is a profound sense of justice. We talk about justice now, but we normally talk about it in terms of criminal justice, locking people up. We lock up more people than any industrialized nation on the globe. We know how to lock up people. Whether or not that is justice is a different conversation, but that's criminal justice. But Dr. King's justice went deeper than that. Dr. King's justice was a sense of racial justice and economic justice and social justice, and spoke to the compact among people. A sense of racial justice that would be offended even today, because the truth is discrimination is still alive and well. May not be as blatant, may not be as obvious, but there's discrimination in employment, in lending, and housing, and we have to fight it every day. Economic justice that would be offended today to know that we have the worst income inequality in history today. A sense of social justice, which would say, are we giving everybody the same opportunity and the same access to opportunity? And we look at our education system and see two education systems. One for the rich and one for the poor. And two different levels of education. And would say that is offensive to our sense of social justice. Dr. King's second lesson was that this is an activist struggle. Justice doesn't happen, you have to make it happen. And it's something you have to do every day, and everybody finds their own way to make a contribution. For me, it's been government. Why? Because I grew up in a house where my father used to talk about government and how you can make a difference, and he'd get all excited and his eyes would open wide when he would talk about the good things that government can do, and how government can bring people together, and how government can pass laws, and how government can fund programs that help people. So I went into government because that was the vehicle to make change for me. That was the vehicle to make a difference. That was the vehicle to do justice. And we are working to do that in the state with my colleagues. We put forth a proposal in the State of the State at the beginning of this year that brings justice to New York in many, many ways. We want to raise the minimum wage. Why? Because you shouldn't be forced to choose between paying your rent and eating every month. And we have a minimum wage that just doesn't work in this state. The minimum wage pays about $14,000 a year. Average cost of food for a family is $6,000 a year. Average cost of child care for a family is $10,000 a year. Average cost of housing is $15,000 a year, more than the entire annual salary under minimum wage. It's time we raise it so people can live a decent life and get paid a fair amount for the work that they're doing. Dr. King spoke about social justice. We put forth a woman's equality agenda, because the truth is there is still discrimination and bias against women. And there is still inequality in this society. Women still make 77 cents to the man's dollar. Women will make $11,000 less a year. Women will make $500,000 less over a lifetime. Women are twice as likely to live their senior years in poverty than men. That is not justice. And the discrimination, and we're going to pass a Women's Equality Act to do just that. We need to address address the stop and frisk situation in the marijuana arrests. Listen to 82% of the marijuana arrests in New York are black and brown. 82%. And half of those arrests are young people under 25 years old. For small amounts of marijuana. Look at what you're doing now. For a small amount of marijuana, you are giving a young person a criminal record, will be with them forever, will make it harder to find a job, harder to get past a reference check, and for what good? For what good? We want to decriminalize low levels of marijuana, stop the cycle of madness. And we proposed new gun laws, and we passed new gun laws, and we passed the new gun laws on Dr. King Day. Why? Because it's simple. Because enough innocent people have died. How many times as a society do we have to see tragedy after tragedy after tragedy before we act? It was Aurora, Colorado. It was Newtown, Connecticut. It was Webster, New York. One after the other, all making the same point that gun violence is taking too many young, innocent lives. It has to stop, and it's time to act. And that is government's responsibility to stand up and do something that protects the people in society and not tell us why it can't be done, but figure out how to get it done. And that's what we did when we passed the New York Safe Act last week. It bans assault weapons, because no hunter, no sportsman needs an assault weapon. They are designed to kill. It addresses the scourge of illegal guns. 75% of the violent deaths in Harlem due to guns. We have to get these illegal guns off the street once and for all. We need to get services in the community and end the violence and start the support. And that's what this bill is going to do. Dr. King's last point was that we are all in one community. Right. And Dr. King talked about the interconnection and the interrelationship of people. Yeah. And his point was we are all in this together. Yeah. Dr. King would say we may have come over in different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. And we're all going up or we're all going down. And that there is a cord that connects us. And maybe you can't see it, but there's a cord that connects me to you, to you, to you. And that cord weaves a fabric and a tapestry, and it connects us all. And when one of us is raised, we are all raised. And when one of us is lowered, we are all lowered. And that's Dr. King's sense of community, where I want you to do well. Because we are connected, and I want to invest in you and educate you and help you because you are part of my community. And there's a sense of mutuality, and that we are all in this together. And we find the commonality, and we leave the differences aside. That was the gift of this country, and that was the gift of Dr. King's teaching. We remember him today, but we should honor his legacy every day. Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Governor Andrew Cuomo.